A very good evening to all of you kids. Children, if you can hear me loudly and clearly, please type LNC so that we can start. Good evening, children. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
A little bit more volume.
Okay. All right. So, in the last class, we were talking about Mendel's experiments and we were talking about the concept of homozygosity, heterozygosity, etc. Okay. Now, very quickly, let's take the final aspect of it. Whatever Mendel called genes, yes, whatever Mendel called factor was nothing but genes, yes. So, so Mendel's factor is nothing but gene, yes. Now, what is this gene or Mendel's factor? Yes, it is nothing but unit of heredity. It is the unit of heredity. Next, today what do we know? It is nothing but a segment of DNA. It is a segment of DNA which gives rise to which gives rise to a character. So tallness is produced by the tall gene, correct? Tallness is produced by the tall gene. Yes, or that was Mendel's factor. Now, in Mendelian genetics, how do we denote the gene? It is denoted it is denoted by the letter of dominant dominant trait. Yes, we did that last time where we said tallness will be denoted by capital T and dwarfness not by small d but by small t. The letter is always of the dominant trait. Yes. Mendel's factors. Yes. Example, capital T was tallness and small t is called dwarfness. Yes, that is the gene for dwarfness. Yeah, let me be correct here. T is gene for dwarfness and capital T is gene for tallness. Okay. So this is what the concept of factor or gene was. Last class we also did the concept of alleles. Alleles were also called, the correct was allelomorphs. Allele or allelomorphs. Yes. What are alleles or allelomorphs? Alleles or allelomorphs are alternative forms of the same gene. They are alternative forms of the same gene. What other things do we know about it? They are located on the same locus. They are located on the same locus of homologous chromosomes. They are located on the same locus of homologous chromosomes. Yes. What was the example of alleles? And small t are alleles of each other. They are alleles of each other. Okay, they are alleles of each other. So gene for tallness and gene for dwarfness are actually alternative forms of the same gene. Gene for tallness and small t is what? Gene for dwarfness. Gene for tallness and gene for dwarfness are actually the same gene which was mutated, the concept of which I gave you last class. Yes, the concept of alleles or allelomorphs and alternative forms of the same gene located on the same locus of homologous chromosomes. All the alleles and allelomorphs we gave it in the last class. Now, in the alleles, we will have two types of alleles. One is a dominant allele, and the second allele is called the recessive allele. Dominant allele and recessive allele. So, what is this dominant allele? Obviously, in capital T, small t, dominant allele is capital T. So, let's talk about recessive allele. Recessive allele is expressed. Recessive allele is expressed only in recessive allele is expressed only in homozygous condition. Matlab, if it is in heterozygous condition, recessive allele will not be expressed. Now come on, in the chat box, write and tell me if recessive allele is expressed only in homozygous condition, where is dominant allele expressed? Come on, in the chat box, type how is dominant allele expressed? Like recessive allele, we have written expressed only in homozygous condition. What do we write for dominant allele? Expressed in what condition? Come on, write it in the chat box. Yes, many of you all have, most of you all have written correct. Srishti correct. Vatsal correct. The others are not participating. Dominant allele is expressed. Dominant allele is expressed where? In, this is important, it is expressed in homozygous and heterozygous conditions both. Some people have written heterozygous. It is expressed in homozygous and heterozygous conditions both. It's expressed in homozygous as well as heterozygous conditions both. Okay. So just to give you the different terminologies, you need to understand this. So suppose if I have capital T, so I can say it is the factor for tallness, yes, or a gene for tallness. Small t is a factor or a gene for dwarfness. It's a factor of gene for dwarfness. Okay. Out of this, capital T is a dominant allele. Capital T is a dominant allele and small t is a recessive allele. Capital T is a dominant allele and small t is a recessive allele. Then what is capital T? Capital T. Capital T is an individual because two things we have written. An individual has two chromosomes. Capital T is an individual who is homozygous. Homozygous. Yes. Homo means both are the same. Homozygous, tall. Capital T, small t is an individual. So when I write two, it is writing an individual, right? An individual who is heterozygous tall. Heterozygous tall. And small t is an individual who is, it's a person, yeah, right? Individual who is homozygous dwarf. Okay, so this is all related to pea plant. Yeah. So this is all the build up that we had, and before finishing last class, I gave you a question. How many of y'all have worked on that question, and have you worked on it? Or do you even remember the question? Now, if you all don't want to participate in the questions and whatever work we give, then it is better that we don't conduct these classes only, right? Because we give the work and then you don't want to do it, so there's no point. And all the thing that we are giving is for a lot of conceptual understanding. Yeah, so no one has done the questions. That's very good. Next time, people, those who have not done the work that we have allotted, I will not allow them in my class. Okay, so this is a first and last warning for everybody. So my question was, if an organism, has four pairs of chromosomes or eight chromosomes, if an organism has four pairs of chromosomes or eight chromosomes, how many different types of gametes, how many different types of gametes can they produce? How many different types of gametes can they produce? Come on, tell me the answer. What do you think? In the chat box, tell me the answer. Okay, so the answers that are coming up are, some are saying 16, 8, 2, 64. So, yes, so some people are giving me 16, some people are giving 8, some people are giving 2, some people are giving 64. Okay. I had already explained some important concept last time, that when they have say 4 sets of chromosomes, say this is chromosome number 1, then there is another chromosome number 2, the second pair, then we have chromosome number 3, which is the third, and then we have chromosome number 4, which is the fourth. Correct? Now when a gamete is formed, the gamete will have only 4 chromosomes. So they have 8 chromosomes. Gametes are formed, last time हमने किया था, by the process of meiosis. And in gametes there will be only 4 chromosomes. Okay, so there are only 4 chromosomes in gametes. Now if I give this, say this is the first chromosome, let's call it 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, 4. And say this one is 4A, 4B. So now they can be assorted. So I can have a gamete with 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. I can have a gamete with 1A, 2A, 3A, 4B. I can have a gamete with 1A, 2A, 3B, 4A. I can have a gamete with 1A, 2A, 3B, 4B. I can have a gamete with 1A, 2B, 3A, 4A, 1A, 2B, 3A, 4B, 1A, 2B, 3B, 4A, 1A, 2B, 3B, 4B. So if I take 1A, I'm getting so many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. The same thing I can get with 1B now. So the 8 combinations I can get with 1B also. So 8 plus 8, total 16 types of gametes. There are 16 types of gametes. Right? Now, rather than solving it and writing all the gamete combinations, there is a shorter method to do it. Yeah? Are you excited for the shorter method? If you are as excited as I am for the shorter method, write short. SHORT, short. So I know how many people are there with me. Okay, okay. That's great. So, if you look at the, say, let's take an example of coins. So to understand the shorter method, let's take the example of a coin. Suppose if I take one coin, yes, what are the possibilities if I flip the coin? So with one coin, I get only two possibilities if I flip the coin. Either it is head or it is tail. Yes, so there are only two possibilities. Great. Now what happens if I take two coins and flip them simultaneously? Okay, I flip the two coins simultaneously. Yeah. Now how many possibilities? Come on, tell me. Now how many possibilities? Very good, Harsh. Shravani, correct. Yeah. So there is very good, Shardi, Benedict. Heads, 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 tail, tails, heads, tail, tails. So there are four possibilities. Can you tell me how many possibilities will be there with three coins now? So suppose if I take three coins and flip them. So how many possibilities will we have? Vatsal correct. Shravani correct. Benedict, Harsh, think again. So our possibilities are going to be H, H, H. So see what is happening here is what I want to make you understand is that there were two coins. So two coins ke ye possibilities the four, right? Now with the third coin coming in, this possibility could be there and there could be head and tail here. This possibility could already be there and there could be a head tail here. This possibility could be there and it could be a head tail here. Yes? So there could be head, 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 tail, head, tail, 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 head. Do we understand? So three coins may eight. So you realize what is happening. This is two. Then two coins may it is two into two. Three coins may the possibilities are two into two into two. Yes. So if there were four pairs, if there were four pairs of chromosomes, how many different types of gametes could be produced? Same logic. In gamete, there will be four chromosomes, four pairs, nahi, four chromosome. The first pair could either be 1A or 1B. So it can be filled in two different ways. Second one can be 1A, 1B, sorry, 2A, 2B, two different ways. Third one, two different ways. Fourth one, two different ways. So 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, that is 2 raised to 4, where that was the number of chromosomes in the gametes. So 2 raised to 4 becomes 16. Now, with this logic, children, can you tell me my next question? How many different types of gametes? How many different types of gametes? How many different types of gametes can be produced? Can be produced? How many different types of gametes can be produced by a human male? How many different types of gametes can be produced by a human male? If you understood the method here, this was extremely easy. This is going to be extremely easy. Yeah, Shavani has already given me the answer. That's great. What about the others? In human beings, how many chromosomes are there? Mehak, incorrect. Think again. Shravani has already given me the correct answer. Come on. We just did an example of four pairs of chromosomes. Four pairs of chromosomes होता है तो कितना types of gametes होते हैं? Human beings have how many types of chromosomes? How many pairs of chromosomes? Yes. Humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes. I don't need the exact number. I'm okay with the basic calculation also. Yes. Number of or types of gametes produced would be it's always 2 raised to the number, right? That's the formula that I taught you just now. It's going to be 2 raised to 23 different types of gametes. 2 raised to 23 different types of gametes. If the same question was how many different types of gametes can be produced by a human female, how many different types of gametes can be produced by a human female, so what would be the answer? Yes, Benedict, waiting for your answer. Yes, Palash, waiting for your answer. Aditya Jaiswal, waiting for your answer. Harsh, waiting for your answer. Hetvi Patel, waiting for your answer. You all can't be a part of this class and not answer. Okay, I will take names now because you all are not answering. You want to be a part of this class, you have to give answers. If you can't give answers, then please don't come for the bio class next class. Sanskriti, answer. I need your answer. Shrishti, what is your answer? Shruti, your answer. Soham, your answer. Vatsal, your answer. And somebody by the name Zoom user, also your answer, or else I'm removing you now from the class. So if a human male produces 2 raised to 23 different types of gametes, how many will be produced by a human female? Shravani got your answer. Harsh got your answer. Benedict got your answer. Sanskriti, okay. What about the others? Please type your answers. Palash, what is your answer? Aditya, what is your answer? In the chat box, Mr. Zoom user, can you just tell me your name, please? Hetvi Patel from Panvel, please tell me what your answer is. Okay, Vatsal. Shrishti Thakre, Panvel. Even if you don't know, that is okay. Soham, just write I don't know, that is okay. So how many chromosomes are present in human female? How many chromosomes are present in human females? Come on, write in the chat box. एक ह्यूमन फीमेल में कितने क्रोमोसोम्स होते हैं? हर्ष इनकरेक्ट. पलाश करेक्ट. आदित्य जायसवाल इनकरेक्ट. बेनेडिक्ट इनकरेक्ट. महक इनकरेक्ट. बेनेडिक्ट इनकरेक्ट. सोहम करेक्ट. सृष्टि करेक्ट. Now, those who have written incorrect, it is just a small error. It's a very small error. Sanskriti correct. Shardi correct. Shrishti correct. So, human female also has 23 pairs of chromosomes. So, human male and human female have to have the same number of chromosomes. So, if human female has 23 pairs of chromosomes, that means human female will also produce 2 raised to 23 pairs of chromosomes. Now some people are writing 22 pairs. No, 23 pairs ही होता है. Human females में थोड़ी कम chromosomes होता है. So this question can be modified as how many different types of chromosomes are present in humans? How many different types of chromosomes are present in humans? So that's the answer for you. Humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes, hence the type is going to be 2 raised to the number of pairs. So that is going to be 2 raised to 23. Now, another question now. Yes. Next, how many same different types of gametes, how many different types of gametes can be produced, how many different types of gametes can be produced how many different types of gametes can be produced by a pea plant? How many different types of gametes can be produced by a pea plant? I gave this information last class to you. A pea plant, Pisum sativum, has 14 chromosomes or 7 pairs of chromosomes. 7 pairs of chromosomes. So what will be the types of gametes produced by a pea plant? The logic is simple. Type of gamete is always 2 raised to the number of pairs of chromosomes. P has 14 chromosomes, but it has actually 7 pairs of chromosomes. Yes, Harsh, correct. Shravani, correct. Shrishti, correct. 2 raised to 7 different types of gametes can be produced by a pea plant. So if somebody asks you how many different types of gametes can be produced, you have to, the answer raised to में वो number, यस श्रुति, raised to में वो number जो pairs of chromosomes है. Yes, not the total chromosome. So if a species have 46 chromosomes, then there is 23 pairs of chromosomes. Okay, I'm not interested in the actual number. I'm interested in that 2 raised to 7, 2 raised to 23, so on and so forth. All right. Chalo, just one before we move on to the next concept. Just let's see how there is a depiction of the Mendel's cross. Okay. So first thing that we write in Mendel's cross is something known as the phenotype. Phenotype is external appearance. Okay. So phenotype is external appearance. Phenotype would be tall pea plant and that was crossed with a dwarf pea plant. After phenotype, we go with genotype. Genotype is the genetic combination that we use. So Mendel always used pure or homozygous tall plants and pure or homozygous dwarf plants. Yes, so these are parents. Then they will undergo gamete formation. So they will undergo formation of gametes. Yes, they will undergo formation of gametes. So this arrow represents gamete formation. Now gamete formation takes place by meiosis. Gamete formation takes place by meiosis. So the tall plant will produce a gamete with one capital T. The dwarf will produce gamete with one small t. Now when pollination occurs, okay, when pollination occurs, these two gametes will try to fuse together. Yes? When these two gametes are fusing together, that's called fertilization. Yes? The ones in circle, what this we have mentioned, these are nothing but gametes. The arrow above is gamete formation by meiosis. The two arrows after gamete is fertilization. Next, the organism formed, the baby formed, is always represented in a box. So the baby formed by fertilization will be capital T small t. And this capital T small t is the F1 generation. F1 means filial, which means like the son, the first filial generation. Yes, this is a hybrid. So we can call this hybrid. Now we have only considered one character, matlab stem height. So this is a hybrid for one character only. So that is why we call this as monohybrid, or we can call this heterozygous. Monohybrid or heterozygous. And all monohybrids or heterozygous have to be tall. So I'll come back to this. So an important point is that in F1 generation of Mendelian experiments, F1 generation has no variation, correct? All all offsprings, all offsprings have the same genotype, have the same genotype and same phenotype, have the same genotype and the same phenotype. This is very, very important. MCQs are asked in the NTSC and other exams. Okay, in F1 generation there is no variation. All offsprings have the same genotype and the same phenotype. Right? Moving on. The next part of the experiment starts when this is selved. So on selfing of F1 generation, on selfing of F1 generation. So what is selfing of F1 generation, children? Capital T small t will be the male parent also, and capital small t will be the female parent also. So this parent will produce two types of gametes. One will be capital T, the other gamete will have small t. This will also produce two types of gametes, capital T and small t. And now these can randomly combine with each other to do that. We have the Punett's checkerboard method. Punett's checkerboard, various combinations. Okay, so let's talk about the Punett's checkerboard here. I think it's double N. Punett's checkerboard. Now in Punett's gave a method by which, okay, all possible combinations could be made in the form of Just 1 second. Yes. If I'm audible to you, please type yes. Am I audible? Okay. So, so Punnett, Reginald Punnett was the one who gave this Punnett checkerboard, also called as Punnett square. So now in this square, what we represent is the F2 generation. All the possible combinations of what generation? F2 generation. Now in this, what Punnett suggested was that male gametes can be written in the topmost row and the female gamete. So this is a symbol of male and female. This is a symbol of male. It appears as if a person is carrying a spear fighting in the war. This represents a mirror. Okay, so female. So all male gametes can be written in the horizontal uh, first row, and female gametes can be written in the first column. So male gamete work, अब male female क्या है, same plant का ही है, right? So capital T small t and then capital T small t. And the moment I do this, already boxes are formed. In the box, what do we write? The organism is always written in a box. The gamete is written in a circle. The organism is written in a box. This means this gamete can fuse with this gamete. So I will get capital T, capital T. This gamete will fuse with this gamete. Then I'm going to get that organism as capital T, small t. This gamete is going to fuse with this gamete. This organism also I'm going to get capital T, small t. And here I'm going to get small t, small t. Now capital T will express itself as tall. Capital T small t will also express itself as tall plant. Yes, and small t will express itself as a dwarf plant. So this is the second information about F2 generation. So what do we see in F2 generation, children? F1 generation has no variations. F2 generation has many phenotypic. F2 generation has many phenotypic and genotypic variations. They have many phenotypic and genotypic variations. What is the meaning of that? Capital T is one genotype. Capital T is another genotype. Small t is another genotype. And tallness and dwarfness are phenotypes. Right? So based on this, based on what are the different things we find in the F2 generation, we have a concept of phenotypic ratio. So here we are going to collect all the phenotypes and see what their ratio are. Now look at the F2 generation and tell me what are the phenotypes that we are getting in this generation. Come on, in the chat box, tell me what are the phenotypes that we are getting in this generation. What are the phenotypes that we are getting in this generation? So phenotype, what I'm getting are, yes, you are absolutely correct. Phenotypes that I'm getting is tall and dwarf. There are only two phenotypes, tall and dwarf. So how many talls? 1, 2, and 3. And dwarf is only 1. So the phenotypic ratio is 3 is to 1. Dominant character is 3 and recessive character is 1. Then we have genotypic ratio. Now the ratios we will never get in F1 generation, we will always get in F2 generation, because F1 में कोई variation मिलता ही नहीं है. Come on, genotypic ratio. I don't want the ratio. You tell me what are the genotypes that you can see in this Punnett square. Tell me what is the genotype. ये तो सब लोग by heart कर लेते हैं ना, बुक में दिया हुआ है तो. I am asking you a basic fundamental question. What are the genotypes that you can see here? Yes, Mehak, I would like to know that. Vatsal, absolutely correct. Benedict, one is missing. Mehak, absolutely correct. Shrishti, absolutely correct. So I am Shravani, absolutely correct. Harsh, absolutely correct. So I have three genotypes, capital T, capital T. The other genotype is capital T, small t, and the other genotype is small t, small t. How many capital T's do I have? I have only one capital T, capital T. How many small t, small t do I have? I again have only one small t, small t. How many hybrids do I have? I have two. So the genotypic ratio is 1 is to 2 is to 1. So what is genotypic ratio? It is the ratio of genotypes in the F2 generation. What is a phenotypic ratio? It is a ratio of phenotypes in the F2 generation. Okay. So this is called what we just did right from here till the end, till the cross happened. This is very popularly known as the monohybrid cross. This is also known as the monohybrid cross, because you're only considering one character at a time. Monohybrid cross. I've considered only one character and uske do variations, tallness and dwarfness. And we go all the way up to F2 generation. Right? Okay. So let's distinguish between F1 generation and F2 generation. Come on, give me one point of differentiation, all of you. In the chat box, tell me what is the difference between F1 generation and F2 generation. Any one point of difference between F1 generation and F2 generation. Very good, Shravani. Okay, Benedict. Okay, Sharadi. Now, first thing that we need to know is the F1 generation. The F1 generation stands for first filial generation. F2 stands for second second filial generation. First filial generation and second filial generation. F1 generation is formed by crossing. This is very important. By crossing से मेरा मतलब है क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन. करेक्ट ना? F1 में आई एम गोइंग टू टेक ऑल contrasting characters and cross them. F1, F2 generation is formed by, in fact, I will just write formed by crossing of homozygous individuals, or I can call them parents. Homozygous parents. F1 generation is formed by crossing of homozygous parents. F2 generation is formed by not crossing, it is formed by selfing. What does selfing mean? Self pollination. Self pollination or interbreeding. Selfing of what? Of F1 generation. Next, third point. All offsprings of F1 generation are same. When I say same, it means phenotypically. Phenotype is external expression. Phenotypically and genotypically. Phenotypically and genotypically. F2 generation. F2 generation will show variations. Offsprings of F2 generation will show variation. Offspring of F2 generation will show variation. Now, in F1 generation, only hybrids are seen. Hybrids matlab heterozygous. Only hybrids or heterozygous individuals. Only hybrids, that is heterozygous individuals, are seen in F1 generation. And here, what do we know about it? Homozygous as well as heterozygous individuals are seen in F2 generation. Are seen in F2 generation. Once you finish writing all these 4 points, just in the chat box write done so that I know and we can move forward. Last 2 minutes, please complete quickly. All right. So Mendel did all this work. Okay. So Mendel performed extensive research. He called them breeding experiments. He called them breeding experiments. Okay. He called them breeding experiments. Okay. He published all this and he actually died in 1800. And nobody actually cared about it. Okay. Later, three botanists discovered Mendel's work independently. Three botanists rediscovered Mendel's work independently. And those three botanists were, the first gentleman was called Karl Korenz. Karl Korenz. The next one was Hugo de Vries. The third one was Eric von Eric von Schermack. Eric von Schermack. And these three people independently discovered Mendel's work 100 years after Mendel died. They studied Mendel's work in detail and they, using Mendel's experiments and all the work that he did, they framed three laws which are famously called Mendel's law of inheritance. Mendel's laws of inheritance. Right? So Mendel performed extensive research, also called breeding experiments. We did what experiments he has done, right? With 7 characters and 14 traits, सबके बारे में find out किया, सबका F1, F2. In fact, he also maintained F3 generations. He always started with pure lines. Okay, so he did a lot of extensive work. उसको पढ़ के Karl Korenz, Hugo de Vries and Eric von Schmerck coined or framed Mendel's law of inheritance. So interestingly, Mendel's laws of inheritance were not written by Mendel. They were formulated by somebody else. Okay. Now, to understand Mendel's law of inheritance, let's see what Mendel said, that if I take a tall plant and a dwarf plant which is homozygous, yes, this will produce one gamete, one factor will go in one gamete, one factor will go in one gamete here also. This will combine together and I will get a plant, right? So if I cross a pure tall and a pure dwarf in the F1 generation, and I'm only going to see tall and I'm not going to see dwarf. Yes, that this is primarily what he said from the first half of this monohybrid cross. So that is why tall character was called a dominant character. So this law, the first law, is famously called the law of dominance. The law of dominance. And the law of dominance is just explaining this part, right? So what have I done? I have taken a pure and pure individual and I have crossed them. So when two pure, pure का मतलब क्या है? Homozygous. When two pure homozygous individuals now we are only, अब जैसे tall pea plant है तो उसके बाकी भी प्रॉपर्टीज होंगे ना, इट विल हैव फ्लावर पोजीशन, है ना, सीड का कलर होगा, सीड का शेप होगा, बट आई एम नॉट लुकिंग एट देम एट ऑल, आई एम ओनली लुकिंग एट, व्हेन आई एम लुकिंग एट अ टॉल पी प्लांट, मैं बाकी कैरेक्टर्स नहीं देख रहा हूं. दैट्स व्हाट मेंडल डिड. So that is what is written here. When two pure homozygous individuals differing in one pair of contrasting traits. Yes. So I can say the first part has been written in the in a so for, we've just in the blue region we have on the screen that you're seeing, we have expressed it, and with the help of this orange thing we have actually written it in words. So the same thing is written there, that when two pure homozygous individuals differing in one pair of contrasting characters abhi aage are crossed, okay, when that is crossed, what happens? Only one character appears. Only one character appears in the F1 generation. Okay, or only one character appears in the F1 generation. The other character is not expressed. The other character is not expressed. Correct? The character which is expressed, the character which is expressed is called the dominant character. The character which is expressed is called the dominant character, while the other one is recessive. While the other one is called the recessive character. So this is law of dominance, just expressing this much, yes, in words. When two pure, like tall and dwarf, I've started with pure, homozygous. When two pure homozygous individuals differing in one pair of contrasting characters are crossed, then what happens? Only one character appears in the F1 generation, the other character is not expressed. The character which is expressed is dominant, character, while the other one is called the recessive character. Now, many times this law of dominance actually helps us. Like, say for example, if the gene, see, what is tallness and dwarfness? They are alleles of each other, right? So suppose एक gene में ऐसा mutation हुआ which is dangerous for us. Okay, if there is a mutation in the gene which is dangerous for us, then that gene will not be expressed in the presence of other allele. So it becomes a recessive. So dominance actually helps in preventing a disorder. Yeah. Anyways, so there are a lot of examples of dominance in humans. For example, if I say, tell me, straight hair or curly hair, what is dominant? Straight hair or curly hair, what is dominant? Straight hair or curly hair, what is dominant? Now majority of y'all are saying straight hair. Straight hair is incorrect. Curly hair is dominant over straight hair. Okay, very, very important. Curly hair is dominant over straight hair. So there is law of dominance. Now in more than 99% of the cases, law of dominance, also called the first law of inheritance or Mendel's first law, Mendel's first law of inheritance. Now later, when Mendel started looking at combination of traits, he found the law of dominant to be true there also. So when two pure homozygous individuals differing in one, and later it was added or more, one or more pairs of contrasting traits are crossed, only one character appears in the F1 generation. The other character is not expressed, it's called dominant and recessive. Now, after Mendel's laws were published, people started experimenting on a lot of other properties, and law of dominance was found to be true in most of the cases. There were some exceptions seen. The first exception that was seen was called incomplete dominance. Incomplete dominance. And the second exception that was seen was codominance. Okay. Now these are very specific examples, very rarely seen. In majority of the individuals, it is law of dominance is true, but there are two exceptions which we find in nature, and that is incomplete dominance and codominance. Okay. Let's look at the examples. Okay. So we have a plant called Mirabilis jalapa. Mirabilis jalapa. It's also called the 4 o'clock plant because it blooms at 4 o'clock in the evening. The 4 o'clock plant, Mirabilis jalapa, is the name of the plant. Now, Mirabilis jalapa produces two types, so there are two contrasting traits. Some Mirabilis flowers, some plants produce red flowers and some produce white flowers. So this genotype should be capital R, small r, small r. What do you think? When red flower and white flower combine together, what is that we are expecting? What is it that we are expecting? In the F1 generation, all the flowers should be what? I don't want the genotype, I want the phenotype. Suppose if I take the red flower and then I take the white flower, what is it that I'm expecting? I'm expecting that the flowers in F1 generation should be red. Okay. So this will produce gamete R. This will produce gamete small r. So capital R, small r, it is monohybrid, right? It is hybrid for a single character. And what we expect is that this should be red, but these flowers were pink. Now what is happening is the red is not fully expressed. होना चाहिए था red. अब red जब थोड़ा सा एक्सप्रेस हो रहा है और पूरी तरह से एक्सप्रेस नहीं हो पा रहा है तो वो पिंक दिखता है. Now when this was allowed to self, on selfing, Mirabilis jalapa produced same capital R, capital R, capital R, small r, small r, small r in the ratio 1 is to 2 is to 1. And I can also say that there were red flowers, there were pink flowers, and there were white flowers in the F2 generation in the ratio 1 is to 2 is to 1. So this is an example of incomplete dominance where the red was not fully expressed. It was expressed less, incompletely expressed. So in incomplete dominance, the phenotypic ratio, in incomplete dominance, the phenotypic ratio as well as the genotypic ratio, in phenotypic ratio as well as the genotypic ratio is equal to 1 is to 2 is to 1. In a normal cross of complete dominance which was suggested by Mendel, the phenotypic ratio was 3 is to 1 and the genotypic ratio was 1 is to 2 is to 1 because the hybrid was expressing the dominant character. Yes, same thing. Another example is seen in a flower called Antirrhinum. Antirrhinum majus is the name of the flower. Majus. It's commonly called a snapdragon, and that also has red and white flowers. It is also seen in chicken called Andalusian chicken. Those small birds are called Andalusian fowls. So जैसे red और white है वैसे Andalusian fowls are black and white. Black and white. So black, capital B, capital B. White, small b, small b. But when the hybrid is there, capital B, small b, this becomes dark blue. This becomes dark blue. Yeah, so no. Okay. Now that's again, if you look at dark blue, uh, less black is actually all the colors being absorbed, right? When you're observing all colors are absorbed, that is black, and blue is some specific section of the color is only absorbed. So uh, the black color were absorbing all colors, and here it was not able to absorb all colors. It was reflecting out blue. That is why it was appearing dark blue, navy blue in color. So these are three examples of incomplete dominance. So here, according to Mendel's law, the flower should have been red, and the Andalusian fowl, which is capital B, small b, should have been black. But it is neither, it's not according to Mendel's law. So this is an exception to Mendel's law of dominance. The first example is incomplete dominance. Incomplete dominance. The other example, kids, is called codominance. So in incomplete dominance, the dominant gene was expressed less. In codominance, there is no dominant, no recessive. Both genes are expressed equally. Now, so example is cattle. Okay, cattle matlab cow, right? Now, there are two types of cattle. One with red hair, so their skin is white, but the hair is red. Now it's not actually bloody red. It's like brownish red. So red cattle when they were crossed with white cattle मतलब उसका hair white है. When the babies were produced, they were called Rowans because they had red hair as well as white hair. They had red hair as well as white hair. तो उनके स्किन में there were red hair also and there was white hair also. मतलब एक ही hair red और एक ही hair white नहीं था. There were skin had red hair as well as white hair. So such cattle were called Rowans. Now here normally red और white होता तो मैं capital R small r लिखता. But because it is codominant, I'll have to write capital R and I will have to write capital Y because they are also dominant, right? Co matlab along with. So ये gametes होंगे when they fuse together, when fertilization occurs, we get the genotype RW, and RW is Rowan. Rowan has red hair as well as white hair. So this is an example. This is an example of what? Example of codominance, where the red gene is also expressed and the white gene is also expressed. So, अब cattle is an animal, तो selfing नहीं लिखते हैं. So on interbreeding मतलब if I take a rowan male and a rowan female, on interbreeding of rowans, what am I going to get? RW cross RW, right? There again I'm going to get capital R, capital R, capital R, capital W, capital W. So here see how we are changing the alphabets in codominance. And when I go ahead with that, I'm going to get one, going to get two Rowan and here, right? Which is again going to be what? Red, then Rowan, and then white. So just like incomplete dominance, even in codominance, the phenotypic ratio and the genotypic ratio, the phenotypic ratio and the genotypic ratio is the same. And what is it? 1:2:1. So this is another exception to Mendel's law, example of codominance. Codominance is a phenomenon in which both the genes or both the alleles are expressed equally. So there is no dominant, there is no recessive. Both the alleles are called codominant alleles. Example, cattle. A red cattle and a white cattle, when they combine together, when they are crossed rather, they will produce a special type of cattle called rowan. In rowan there will be red hair as well as white hair seen. So rowan is a hybrid and both red and white genes are expressed. On interbreeding of rowans in the F2 generation, I will find that the genotypic and phenotypic ratio both is 1:2:1. So we are on law of dominance, yes? So that's the first Mendel's law of inheritance. When two pure homozygous individuals differing in one or more pairs of contrasting traits are crossed. Only one character appears in the F1 generation, the other character is not expressed. The character which is expressed in the character which is expressed in F1 is called dominant character. The other one is called recessive character. Yes. Exceptions are incomplete dominance and codominance. Incomplete dominance is the type of dominance in which the uh, the dominant character is not completely expressed. In incomplete dominance, the dominant character is not expressed completely. So if you see, there is still capital R small r written here, because ये दोनों में dominant relationship है, but this capital R is not expressed fully in the presence of small r. So dominant character is not expressed completely. Dominant character is not expressed completely. There are three examples: Mirabilis jalapa, called the 4 o'clock plant; Antirrhinum majus, called the snapdragon. They will have red flowers and white flowers. When their cross happens, the monohybrid in the F1 generation produces pink flowers. On selfing of this pink flower, we get red, pink, and white in the ratio 1:2:1. One more example is Andalusian fowl, where black and blue, when they fertilize, black and white fowls, when they fertilize, they will produce a blue fowl and not a black fowl. The next is an example called codominance. Codominance is a phenomenon where both the genes are expressed equally. Both genes are expressed equally. Example, cattle. Red cattle when crossed with white cattle produces roan, which will produce red and white hair together. Yes. So codominance and incomplete dominance are exception to the law of dominance. However, law of dominance is true in more than 99% of the cases. These are just very few examples where law of dominance is not true. Okay. Now, one last thing here before we go. Suppose if I have a tall plant, tall pea plant. Yes. Now tall pea plant दिख रहा है मुझे, उसका जीनोटाइप नहीं मालूम है. तो tall pea plant कैपिटल टी भी हो सकता है, tall pea plant कैपिटल टी स्मॉल टी भी हो सकता है. ठीक है. अब मेंडल को ये सब नहीं मालूम था, राइट. Now tall pea plant को how do we identify this tall pea plant is pure or homozygous, or is this tall pea plant hybrid? Because अंदर तो मुझे नहीं मालूम है, मुझे externally ही देखना है. So what he did was he crossed the tall pea plant with the dwarf plant. He crossed what? The tall pea plant with the dwarf plant. Okay. Now let's look at this. If I cross this one, the pure one, capital T into small t, what am I going to get? In the F1 generation, I'm going to get capital T small t, and in the F2 generation, what am I going to get? Tallness and dwarfness. I'm going to get tall and dwarf in the ratio 3:1. However, if it is hybrid, see what happens. Capital T, small t, small t, small t. Okay. Abhijit, stop messing with the screen. Okay. So let's look at the F1 generation only, right? So if I take a tall plant which is pure and dwarf plant and I cross them together, I am going to get in the babies are all tall. But if this is the case, then this will produce two types of gametes, capital T and small t, correct? This will produce only one type of gametes, small t. So I am going to have capital T, small t, small t, small t as babies. So this is going to be tall and this is going to be dwarf. And this is going to be in the ratio 1:1. So interesting. अगर if I start with a tall plant, cross it with dwarf, and I get all tall, that means this tall was pure or homozygous, capital T, capital T. If I start with a tall plant, अंदर क्या है मुझे नहीं मालूम, but on crossing with a dwarf plant, I get tall and dwarf 50-50%. That means this tall was hybrid. That is why this was called as the test cross, because it helps us in identifying the genotype of the the unknown. It helps us in identifying the genotype of the unknown uh, organism. Okay, dominant organism. Okay, test cross is technically a cross between test cross is a cross between hybrid and the recessive parent. It is a cross between hybrid and the recessive parent. Yes. Now what is the test cross going to give me? The test cross is going to give me a ratio of 1:1. What ratio is that going to be? Phenotypic भी मुझे सेम मिलेगा and genotypic दोनों. I'm going to get phenotypic as well as genotypic ratio 1:1. Okay. More about test cross and the other two laws of inheritance in the next class. Thank you very much. If you have any queries, you can just write in the chat box so that I can clarify that. If not, thank you very much. See you in the next class. All right then. Thank you very much.